Hello, this is the Captain Paxo, back with the weekly hunt on episode 10 now. It's a bit shorter of an episode this time, mostly because I haven't actually been playing a lot of Monster Hunter. Again, it's like, there are other games that I'm wanting to play. Well, I can't say I haven't been playing a lot of Monster Hunter, it's just I haven't been playing a lot of World. You see, I recently got Generations second hand, so I've been playing that. I mean, it's still Monster Hunter, it's just not Monster Hunter World. That game is a lot of fun. It's very different because, you know, there's only one set of shoulder buttons and there's only one analog stick. But, so that means there's a lot of difference in the controls, but the weapons play so differently. The switch axe, the bow, the longsword. Well, the longsword doesn't play too differently from that it does in World. You just have to remember that you don't have the Foresight Slash and you don't have the Spirit Thrust. Those are the only two moves that you don't have. But we'll talk about Generations later, because right now it's World, and Kulve Taroth has arrived, and I like it. I like Kulve Taroth as I dodge straight through Legiana's Roar. Get wrecked. I think is this low rank or is this high rank? I remembered I had to do a little bit of low rank Legiana because I needed some claws for, I believe it was Legiana Longsword I wanted to get. But this might be high rank where I'm trying to get a gem. Not too sure, hard to tell. But yeah, Kulve Taroth has appeared. Super awesome, super cool. But I get very disheartened trying to do Kulve Taroth. First of all, because it can be a little bit interesting to try and get into a lobby, like a large lobby of a load of people doing Kulve Taroth. It depends on the time of day, but if you're trying to do it at not high time, like I tend to, like a schmuck, you might find yourself in a lobby that kind of just everybody leaves and it becomes a lobby of two, and then you're like, well, what, you know, what's the point in doing this as two people? Or worse is when there's like 5 people and the other 4 people are all in the same quest, so either you do it solo or you go somewhere else. So that kind of sucks. But it's not the end of the world, you know. There are ways to work around it, you know. Just find a better online session, right? Play at a high time. The other thing that kind of gets me a little bit disheartened is the amount of times that I've failed the quest because maybe people aren't that familiar with Kulve Taroth and they tend to get defeated, or carted rather, at like the last stage, just the last stage of the quest where she's in, like, what is it, zone 4 I think it is, just that last section. That's where most people die, and most people die because of like the molten gold breath attack, or whatever it is, the fire breath that she spews out. That is the #1 cause of carting that I've noticed. So, you know, recommendation, how do I get better at fighting Kulve Taroth? Bring fire resist. I don't care how. Bring a charm, bring 3 decorations, bring high fire resist armor, eat the elemental resist up large food skill. Just get some fire resist. Like at least 10 fire resist, because like I said, that fire breath is the #1 cause of carting in the Kulve Taroth quest, you know? So if you can kind of negate that, then the rest of the fight is going to be a bit of a cinch. Well, here's hoping. Because it's like, it doesn't really matter what armor you have, as long as you fully upgrade it, Taroth won't do too much damage. I mean, she doesn't pull her punches, she does do quite a lot of damage, but if you fully upgrade your armor, then obviously you're going to be able to reduce that. But the thing is, every single piece of armor has the ability to be upgraded, but not every single piece of armor has good fire resist. So, you know, not every build is going to be able to tank Taroth's fire the same, which is why I recommend, bring some form of fire resist, because otherwise it's gonna be a bit of a pain in the ass. I guess that was high rank Legiana, because now I'm using the Legiana longsword to try and take out an Azure Rathalos to try and get a ruby, if I remember correctly, to fully upgrade the Fire Lance, or to get something or other. Thing is with this longsword, or just longswords in general, I find it very hard to actually break the Azure Rathalos' back before I capture it. Maybe it's because I just do too much damage in general. I need to kind of slow down a little bit and focus my damage a bit more. Because that's the thing, is like, if you do too much damage, you'll end up accidentally killing the monster before you can break like 2 different parts. So if you do slightly less damage, then you have a better chance of actually getting the part breaks that you need. But also, just kind of struggling and actually hitting the back. The back is a very hard to hit place, so it would be wise if I would just bring out my my backbreaker build and do that. The backbreaker build being my sword and shield build that focuses on mounting the monster, which is actually the build that I like to use when fighting Kulve Taroth, because I don't think a lot of people know that you can actually mount that monster. It's not particularly easy. You have to focus on hitting the head or the back of the neck, but you can totally mount that monster, and it is really cool. As this Azure Rathalos is spamming the shit out of that stomp, and I missed my Spirit Slash. My Helm Splitter, sorry. Always good to know that I'm still missing that. As I think that was the head break. And now focusing on the back, but I'm probably not going to get it. But speaking of builds, like that's one thing that I really like about Monster Hunter World, and it's something that I really like about Dark Souls, which will be a tangent for a little bit later, because I've been playing a lot of that as well. I just love the ability to get super creative builds. Just find these crazy combinations of armor and weapons and equipment or whatever you want to use to just be able to create this really weird build that not many people would think of using. Because of course, both in Dark Souls and in Monster Hunter, there are a couple builds that are really popular. In Monster Hunter, it's like the max damage, like weakness exploit stuff, and in Dark Souls, probably the most popular build is the it's got to be some form of dexterity build, because the katanas are everywhere. And so's pyromancy. Great Combustion is an incredibly powerful pyromancy, and so's Black Flame, I suppose, would be a stronger one. But then you have these crazy setups that you just wouldn't think are particularly viable, or these crazy setups that most people just don't think of doing. And in Monster Hunter, it could be something like a Master Mounter setup, like I'm using for my SNS build, the Backbreaker as I call it. Or it could be something where maybe you focus on using, I don't know, like health regen items in Dark Souls. That's a build you don't see all that often, is people using like Replenishment, a Lifesteal weapon, and Sanctus. You don't see many people going for that, but it's an incredibly powerful build. So you just sort of think, why are not more people using this? And it's because they go for what's easiest and what's seemingly the best. But like I said, there's the potential to get some really creative and really cool builds. It's just that most people kind of don't really bother with that. They just go for like the max damage, which is fine. It's just, it kind of, I don't know, does it get stale? It gets stale for me, at least. a lot of the builds that I've been doing recently have been trying to focus a bit more on max damage, and I haven't really been having as much fun as I do with like the Master Mounter setup, or maybe some other crazy setup that I want to do. That's where experimentation comes in, doesn't it? You just got to experiment. This is something that I'm campaigning for, would that be the right word, or like kind of trying to promote? It's just creativity, because if you follow what's meta, you're never gonna come across something that is incredibly powerful that isn't meta. Oh, I'm gonna cart right here. Am I gonna cart? Oh, I almost carted. Like I said, this final stage with the molten gold breath attacks, that is the #1 cause for carting. Has almost got roasted right there. But it's like, if you only follow what's meta, you're never gonna discover the next meta, if you get what I mean. Because, like, metas are discovered by people who experiment and find that it's incredibly powerful, and then everybody starts using it because they realize that it's incredibly powerful as well, and thus meta. But that wouldn't have really been found if people don't experiment. And on top of that, there are many perfectly viable and incredibly powerful setups that aren't particularly, like, they're not meta, they're not particularly well known, but they are really, really strong. Again, those setups are only found by people who experiment. Basically just saying, if you stick with what's meta, then you're never going to find something new. And if you never find something new, then you're never going to find the next meta. I don't know, just trying to promote creativity, trying to be like, try and create something really strange, try and find a certain strategy that you want to focus on, and do that. Because a lot of people at this point are kind of getting bored of Monster Hunter World. And that was happening before the spring update. That was happening before Deviljho came out, you know. And I'm sure there are many people who are still, like, a little bit bored of Monster Hunter. I mean, I'm a bit discouraged to play a whole lot of it because, as much as I like Kulve Taroth, I don't enjoy it to the fullest. Mostly because I am having such a hard time getting gems, because for getting the full set you need 4 gems, and I know I haven't run it a ton, like I haven't run it like 40 or 50 times, but I've run it a large number of times and I haven't gotten any gems yet, so it's a little bit like, oh god, because you only get calves very rarely when doing the Kulve Taroth run. And I don't know if you can actually get a gem for the siege rewards. You bloody well better, you know. Otherwise, I'm never gonna get these damn gems, you know. But yeah, if you're finding Monster Hunter to start, like, it's starting to get a little bit boring, it's starting to get a little bit old, a little bit stale, you need to use something different. You need to use something new. You need to use something stupid. Create the weirdest, craziest, most nonsensical build you could possibly think of. Try that, and then see, oh, what could I work off here? Because there are some really interesting skills that can have builds built around them, like a wide range kind of support build. Like, I'm wanting... I think I have all the things I need to create a pretty good, like, wide range speed eating build for the Sword and Shield, but I haven't quite put it into practice yet, but it's definitely something that I want to try. Yeah, I figured I was going to get railed by that. Life powder as well. That's something that is, you need to bring life powder to Kulve Taroth hunts. Just bring life powder, for goodness sakes. You know? It's like, the amount of times that I've saved people's lives and other people have saved my life thanks to life powder is ridiculous. So just bring it. Shut up. I don't care. Bring life powder. It's a must. You need it. Oh dear. It's so good. Because it's like, I suppose, I'm just trying to think. There isn't one person who really said it first, but it's a quote that I'll remember forever now. Kind of relating to more tanky builds and why they're so good. It's the idea that, like, you're not doing any damage if you're dead. You know, that maximum damage build, it's great and all, but if you're dead, then you're dealing no damage, and that maximum damage build is all of a sudden pretty worthless. So, you know, you don't really need to focus on maximum damage. You don't really need to focus on damage at all unless you're trying to speedrun, really. Like, sure, it's nice, but just being able to upgrade your weapons is good enough, really. As I kind of wasted life powder there. And there we go with the molten, or the malleable gold state. I definitely need to try and fight a bit more Kulve Taroth and try and do it in a slightly different way and experiment with it and just generally try and have fun. Make that support set, do that sort of thing. That's like the #1 rule for Monster Hunter. If you're ever struggling with anything in the game, if you're ever having a hard time, if you're ever getting like a bit bored, a bit down on the game or something, you need to try something different. You know, variety is the spice of life and all that. You might be a god with a charge blade, but if all you use is charge blade, well, that's gonna get pretty fucking boring pretty quick. It's like, I'm just reminded of what my one of my friends said when he kind of stopped playing Monster Hunter World. Is like, he loved the shit out of And I'm Dead. Oh god, this is why you get fire resist people and fail. Alright, this is why you get fire resist people. Learn from my mistakes and the mistakes of other people. Just fire resist, alright? It is a must. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, my friend, he mained the insect glaive for pretty much the entirety of low rank, and then he started using the hammer, so he became like a hammer and insect glaive user, but that's all he used, right? And then he ended up farming a shit ton of Volhazak to get the Volhazak hammer, and then once he got that, he stopped playing Monster Hunter World because he was like, well, I mean, I've got everything that I really want. I've got a good insect glaive, I've got a good hammer, none of the other weapons feel good to me. Yeah, whatever. I don't even think he got to tempered monsters. I don't even think he fought a single tempered monster. And it's okay to not do that, you know. Playing Monster Hunter World all the way through to like tier 3 tempered monsters and beyond isn't for everyone, but to kind of stop playing because you've gotten the hammer that you want to use and you've gotten the insect glaive that you want to use and you don't really care about getting anything else, I just think it's a bit shallow. It's a bit like, well, kind of try and broaden your horizons, try and create different builds, try and do a different strategy, maybe do something different. Just try it and you might have a lot more fun. Maybe fight a different monster, maybe try and get that monster's armor. I don't know. Just try and find something else to do in this game, because much like Dark Souls, once you've beaten the game, everything that you are gonna do is kind of up to you to find the fun. It's not like Call of Duty where you can just prestige to like prestige 99 or whatever the fuck the highest prestige is these days. It's not like you just grind for that for hundreds of hours. You find what you want to have fun with and you do that. As I save someone's life with the life powder. That guy was stunned, was on very low health, was about to get smacked by Kulve Taroth. If I hadn't used life powder, he'd be dead. Bring life powder. It is fantastic. Just saying. It's the best item in the game. Oh, God. But he said that, like, he didn't find any of the other weapons fun or interesting to use. And I just think, well, that's probably because you haven't given them a good enough chance. Like, you might have used them for a little bit, you might not have understood what they're all about, because that's the thing with Monster Hunter. You can't understand any weapon, like, at all, if you only use it for, like, a handful of hunts. You need to put some serious time and effort into, like, maybe looking up some online tutorials. And I know not everyone likes to do that, because you can find out all of this information in-game. It's a little bit hard to find, but it is possible. But I would definitely recommend, like, looking up tutorials online, because it gives you an understanding of the moves that you have available to you, and then once you have that understanding, you can kind of just use your tool as you see fit. That's, like, one of the things that I really like about Gaijin Hunter's tutorial, is that, like, you get all of the moves, or he tells you all of the moves, and then you kind of decide how you want to use those moves, you know? He gives you the tools, and you figure out how best to use them, you know? But I just feel like you should try different weapons, because you're never going to find your favorite weapon if you just stick with one. Like, I think I've said this before, but when I first played the beta, I used the hunting horn the most in the beta, and I definitely didn't stick with that when I went into the full game, because when I went into the full game, I used the charge blade exclusively for, like, the first 20 hours. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't know shit about that weapon, right? So eventually I started using different weapons just to try and see what they're all about. And I ended up using, like, the bow and the lance and the switch axe and the sword and shield, all of which are my current favourite weapon. Well, maybe not so much the bow, but definitely the SNS, switch axe, and lance. Those are my 3 favourite weapons. Thing is, when I first used the lance in the Monster Hunter World beta, I thought it was awful. I thought it was horrific. I thought it was super clunky, super immobile. I thought it was a pain in the ass to actually use. But when I actually gave it some time, and I actually put some investment into it, and I watched a YouTube video to understand how to use the weapon, it became my favourite weapon in the game, hands down, without any competition. And the same thing kind of went for the switch axe, you know? And the same thing happened with the sword and shield. When I first used the sword and shield, I thought it was trash. When I picked it back up again after a couple tutorials and a little bit of time investment, I fucking love it. It's the best weapon in the game. It's better than the lance, you know? And I loved the lance for a really long time. Yeah, I'm thinking the sword and shield is better, you know? It's just, you will never find your favourite weapon if you just stick with your first weapon, because chances are your first weapon will not be your favourite weapon. It'll be the weapon that you might stick with just to try and like get the most out of it because it's your most familiar. But if you don't try everything and get a good understanding of everything, then you're never going to find that one weapon where you go, oh my god, this thing's amazing, I want to use this all the time now. You know, because I don't think that people's all-time favourite weapon will be the first weapon that they use. I mean, it might be, they might end up using all of the weapons in the game and getting a really good understanding of all of them, but then still going back to the first one that they ever used and just sticking with that. I just don't think that's all that common, considering there's 14 weapons in the game, and they all have their own uses, they're all really powerful in their own way. I just find it hard to believe that the first one that you pick up will be your all-time favourite and you'll never want to switch out from that, you know? So again, it's just experiment, broaden your horizons, try different things out, different strategies, different weapons. Try picking up a weapon that you absolutely hate and just stick with it for a week. Just keep trying, keep hammering it down and try and understand it until you get it, and you might actually have some fun. This is quite funny, by the way. Odogaron hasn't actually detected me. I didn't know what was going on. I was kind of like, what is he doing? What is he doing? I woke him up, I smacked him. What's he... Oh, he didn't know I was there. Okay. But speaking of that, like, take a weapon and use it for a week, I am now going to do the Week of series in the weekly hunt. And I did a thing online, what was it called? Like the Wheel Decide that So Hellkite uses for his, what are they? The roulette strats. He uses that for the roulette strats. I just put in like all 14 weapons, span it, and I got light bowgun. I don't use light bowgun all that often, although I do have... The only, like, fully upgraded light bowguns that I have are ones that I got from Kulve Taroth. Don't have any other fully upgraded light bowguns, although the Rarity 8 one that I got from Kulve Taroth is actually really good. It's got 260 damage, which is on the high spectrum for light bowguns, and it's got rapid fire for level 2 normal ammo, rapid fire for thunder. It has access to like slicing and sticky, paralysis, poison. But the most important part about it is, I think it has access to dragon as well, which is pretty cool. The most important part about it, though, is that it has really low recoil and really fast reload speeds. Because with some weapons or some bowguns, there are like they have a lot of ammo, sure, but they have mad recoil with some of the ammo types and really long reload speeds. The longest reload speeds that this weapon has are for like the slicing ammo and the what's it called? Slicing, sticky, and I think thunder. I can't quite remember, but it's not even that long. Like I think it's like a medium or a slow. It's called slow. Slow for a bowgun, which is pretty fast. And then the highest recoil is like +3 on the thunder and the sticky. The slicing is actually +2 recoil, which basically means that you can move and shoot at the same time. So that's definitely going to be a bowgun that I'm going to be using a lot. I've already made a set. It's a shitty set for it, but it's a set nonetheless for the that bowgun. So that's going to be like the first thing that I'm going to be using. But yeah, it's going to be week of the light bowgun next week, and if you have a weapon that you want me to use like the week after, leave it in the comments below. I'll have a look at them. There probably won't be like too many, so it's not going to be hard to tally them up to find out which weapon I'm going to be using for the week after next. But if there's no comments, I'll just do the Will Decide again and remove the light bowgun from the list, because I don't want to do light bowgun 2 weeks in a row, because as much as the light bowgun might be a heck of a lot of fun, and I have used it, well, I used it once or twice against Kulve Taroth, and I had good time, but we failed because people got carted, and it's all very sad. I should bring some recover ammo, because again, that bowgun can use recover ammo. It just seems like a good idea. But yeah. Oh man. So Monster Hunter Generations, huh? I've been playing a lot of that. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. The only large monster that I've fought so far is the Great Macau. But it's been good fun to try and fight him. God, I love that jump attack. When you do like the lunge attack into a climbable wall with the sword and shield, just tick 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 tick. It does so much damage. It's so satisfying, and it all does mounting damage as well. So if you land it on the head, oh man, does it? It really helps when you really need to do mounting. This is if you're gonna do a mounting setup against Kulve Taroth, this is the room to do it, because you've got the walls where you can do like the running attacks off of it and the ledges, and you've also got the wedge beetles above, and it gives you a really good advantage, as long as you can reach it. That is. Oh dear. But yeah, look at all the damage that I'm not doing because I'm missing. But anyway, Monster Hunter Generations. Good God, are there a lot of gathering quests. Holy shit, dude. There are no gathering quests in World. Well, there are, but they're optional quests, and they make it very obvious that you don't have to do them. You know? And it's always something really easy to find, like the mushrooms or whatever. But in Generations, I mean, it's still pretty easy to find. You read the quest description and you're good to go, you know. But it's still like, wow, there are a lot of gathering quests before you can fight your first large monster, which is the Great Macau. But once you fight that, then you can get onto like the Velocidrome, the Iodrome, the Gendrome, Cephadrome, and whatever the heck else. Get on with business and beat up some monsters. One thing that I've noticed though is that there are a shit ton more small monsters in Generations than there is in World, and that's kind of to be expected, considering that Generations is like it's like a celebration of Monster Hunter, so it's like it's a bit of everything. It's like Monster Hunt, like OG Monster Hunter, a bit of Monster Hunter Tri, For You, and Dose, is it? Or something? I don't know. Probably, yeah. Which is really cool. Actually, it's really nice, because I think I mentioned before that I actually played Monster Hunter, the original Monster Hunter Freedom on PSP, but I never got very far in it. But I still remember the village. I still remember the little village with like the wooden shack on the left, in like the upper left part corner of the village, and there was like the guy who sold like weapons and the other guy who sold armor, or like forged it or whatever, because weapons and armor forgeries weren't put into one vendor at that time. If I remember correctly, anyway. I could be very much mistaken. But it's like you can go to that village in Generations and just like, oh, memories of not knowing what I'm doing. Memories of being an idiot. As I'm being an idiot running straight into that Diablos tail swipe. God damn it, dude. I'm not very good with that move, with the longsword, because I always try and do the foresight slash, and then I go, oh, wait a second, there's a follow-up to that attack. I just get railed straight in the face. It's like, oh shit. It's the good old I'm not sure what it's from, but it's the Morgan Freeman meme of it. It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up. You can kind of slow it down right to the point where I realize I done goofed. But yeah, good old Generations. That's not gonna work. I think when Black Diablos does like that monobloss attack, which is where it sort of charges up, puts its wings, or lowers its wings, kind of readies itself, kind of gets really low, and then charges forward like a bullet. I think with that, it cannot get stuck in those pillars underground. It'll just charge straight through them. But if it just does the normal one, then I think it can get stuck. I'm not sure. But one thing that I've really had to get used to with Generations is, of course, the lack of the analog stick. So I've gotten really good at doing like tapping L1 to refocus my camera, which might end up leading into my Monster Hunter World gameplay. You never know. Be interesting to see that. But another thing is just how different the weapons are. Like, The Sword and Shield is pretty nice. If you're comfortable with the Sword and Shield in World, then you're going to be comfortable with the Sword and Shield in Generations. It's just as simple as that. It's not much has changed from Generations into World, other than they've given it a certain move. Like, or they've added on like a jump attack from the backstep. And of course the ability to change directions. But that's about it. That's all they've really done with the Sword and Shield. But the bow, oh boy, is the bow different. The bow is very... Because if you use the bow in World, then, you know, you can tap the trigger and it'll automatically level it up. Like, the first one will be level 1, you fire it again, level 2, fire it again, level 3. That's not the case in Generations. You keep tapping it, you're just going to be doing level 1 shots. You actually have to charge it every single time if you want the level 2 or the level 3. But it's not just as simple as, oh, level 1 only fires 1 arrow, level 2 fires 2 arrows, level 3 fires 3 arrows. It's not as simple as that. Depending on the bow that you choose will depend on the type of shot that it fires. So it could be that with the level 1 strike, it fires like a spread shot. And then with the level 2 strike, it fires like a rapid shot, and with the level 3 it fires a pierce, or a heavy, or something like that. You don't just get like, tap A and it does the spread attack. You don't get that, you actually have to fire the bow. The A attack is your melee. It's the kind of melee that you get after you do a dash into a triangle. Or a charge dash into a triangle. That's just what you get. Right? It does have a follow-up, which is really nice, especially when you're trying to hit something like a Vespoid or something, which is just kind of being a pain in the ass. It's just floating around, you're like, sit still. I can't aim for shit. On top of that, there are a lot more, like, coatings. There's, like, exhaust coating, there's paint coating, because, you know, you need to paint the monster to track it. And power has levels. It has, like, level 1 and level 2. And then you have element as well. Element level 1 and 2, to increase your elemental damage. It's sort of like... There's so much to these bows. And then, like, the arc shot, where in World it's just, like, the coconuts. That's different. Depending on the bow, again, you could get the coconuts, you could get like the dragon piercer, well, sort of a dragon piercer, or you could get something else. It all varies, you know? It's all very, very different, and it all depends on the bow that you're using, you know? It's crazy, but it's really in-depth and really awesome to use. Oh, that's something I forgot, actually. The oils that you can coat your Sword and Shield with in Generations. That doesn't exist in World, does it? But I have not managed to actually get or purchase any oils yet, because they're a little bit expensive for my liking. I'm really annoyed that I accidentally cut out a little bit of the footage of this hunt, because earlier with this switch axe, or with the axe form, I did the uppercut with the triangle circle on the lance guy, and he went flying up into the air, and then he mounted Kulve Taroth with that attack. I was like, yes, yes, I did that. I enabled you to do that. I was just being silly. I was just like, you know what? Let's just launch this lance guy into the air. He was like, oh shit! Stabs Kulve Taroth in the head in midair, gets the mount, and we're all just like, yes! And I'm like, I did that! I did that! Oh, God. I fucking love Monster Hunter World, dude. There's not enough time in the day for me to be able to talk about everything that I want to talk about. Which is, you know, probably a good thing. Because otherwise, these videos would be about 4 hours long. Granted, I needed to get 4 hours worth of footage, which I'm getting worse at somehow. But yeah. This was a scary moment. Oh, am I gonna die? Please don't cut. Don't cut. That'd just be embarrassing, wouldn't it? I did not cut. Someone saved me with life powder. I probably would have died if they did not do that. This was pretty scary, though. It's always scary doing this when you're not too confident in your ability or your teammates' abilities. It's always like, are we going to succeed or are we going to fail? Again, I need to make a support set, preferably focusing on, well, I'm gonna have to make a support set with the light bow gun, because that's gonna be the bow, or that's gonna be the weapon that I'm gonna be using for the next week. But yeah, one continue remaining. Can we do this? I have no idea how much time we have left. I have almost got blasted in the face with that molten gold. And you can kind of tell that I'm not really very confident with using the switch axe against Kulve Taroth. I'm going in for like a quick hit and then backing off when she starts to do anything that I'm not certain I can punish. You know, just trying to get in there, try and whack the head. I recommend whacking the head whilst she's got the gold on, because she'll end up, or like the gold will fall off and you'll be able to carve that 3 times. So if you manage to get that and the horn's fully broken, then you get like 5 carves, which is great. And if you have like Carver Pro or whatever, maybe you'll be able to get more. Good God. She is scary sometimes, as I'm continuing to try and get the mount, but I'm not doing a particularly good job. We're getting pretty close to the end of the video, and I've just realized I haven't gotten the guild card footage, so I will quickly go get that after this is done. Pop some demon powder, some hard shell powder. Oh, and that's the end of the quest. But anyway, I will leave you with the guild card for now, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.